It's the middle of the night. You can't sleep. The sheets are damp, the air won't move, and you've already kicked the blanket onto the floor. So you reach out, press one button, and a machine on the wall starts pushing cold air into the room. Within 20 minutes, the problem is gone. You'll be asleep soon. And tomorrow, you will not think about this even once. That button is one of the most extraordinary things any human being has ever had. And you use it the way you use a light switch, without a thought. Now, take it away. Take away the air conditioner, the fan, the fridge, the cold tap, the ice, the freezer, the cold shower, and the cold drink. All of it. Gone. It is 40 degrees Celsius. It has been 40 degrees for 9 days straight. There is no shade you did not build yourself, no water you did not carry, and no way to make anything colder than the air around you, ever. That was the reality for almost every human who has ever lived. So what did they actually do? Just sweat and suffer and hope? Well, the answer is stranger than that. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about heat. Your ancestors weren't barely surviving it. They were the best in the world at it. Better than lions, better than horses, better than you by a very long way. And by the end of this, you're going to understand that the body you're sitting in right now was designed from the ground up by heat. But first, let's kill the picture in your head. When you imagine ancient humans escaping the sun, you probably imagine a cave. Cool, dark, damp, a natural refrigerator. It's a nice image. It's also mostly wrong. Caves are only reliably cool deep underground, and deep caves are dark, hard to breathe in, and dangerous. Most ancient humans never lived in one. They lived in the open, on grassland and scrub, under an enormous sky, in exactly the places where the heat is worst. That was the address. There was no escaping it. And heat is not a mild problem. Heat is a killer, and a faster one than cold. Your body has to hold its core temperature at about 37 degrees. Push it up by just 3 to 40, and your proteins begin to fail, your brain starts to swell, and you become confused, then unconscious. Heat stroke can kill a healthy adult in a matter of hours. Cold usually gives you longer. Heat closes the door fast. So how do animals handle it? Most of them cheat. Dogs pant. Elephants dump heat through those enormous ears. Kangaroos lick their forearms. Pigs find mud. But nearly all of them share one hard limit. They cannot lose heat fast enough to keep moving in the middle of the day. So they don't. Go out on an African plain at noon, and it is almost empty. Every sensible animal is lying in the shade, waiting for the sun to go down. And this is where our ancestors did something that makes no sense at all. They went out at noon on purpose. Because humans have a set of adaptations that no other large animal on Earth can match. And the first one is something you're doing right now without noticing. You sweat. That sounds unremarkable until you look at the numbers. You have somewhere between 2 and 4 million sweat glands spread across your skin. You are, by a wide margin, the sweatiest animal alive. A human being can lose more than a liter of sweat in an hour, and every drop that evaporates pulls heat directly off your skin. It is a full-body evaporative cooling system running constantly in the background for free. A dog panting through one small tongue simply cannot compete. The second adaptation is one people usually think of as a weakness. You're naked. Somewhere between 1 and 2 million years ago, our ancestors lost almost all of their body hair, and the leading explanation is exactly this. Fur traps heat and blocks evaporation. Losing it turned the entire surface of the body into a radiator. You didn't lose your fur because you got soft, you lost it because you became a cooling machine. And the third one is the way you're built. Stand up straight, and at midday when the sun is directly overhead, only your head and shoulders take the full force of it. Researchers have estimated that walking upright cuts the solar radiation hitting your body by around 60% compared to standing on 4 legs. It also lifts your whole body up off the baking ground and into whatever breeze is moving. Standing upright is, among other things, a heat strategy. Now put those 3 together and you get one of the strangest hunting methods in the natural world. An antelope is far faster than you. It is not close. Over any short distance it wins easily and you never see it again. But an antelope cools itself by panting, and it cannot pant properly while it's galloping, so it has to stop. And a human, sweating steadily, does not have to stop. So a group of hunters would pick an animal out of the herd in the hottest part of the day and simply follow it. Not sprint, follow. The animal bolts, runs out of sight, stops in the shade to cool down. The humans arrive. Walking, it bolts again. A shorter distance this time. They arrive again. Over the next several hours in full sun, the animal's core temperature climbs and climbs until it can no longer stand up. It collapses from heat, not from injury. Anthropologists call it persistence hunting, and it has been documented in the Kalahari, where hunters have been recorded running down antelope across several hours of midday heat. Read that again. Our ancestors used the sun as a weapon. The heat that everything else in the landscape was hiding from was the thing they hunted with. But before this turns into a story about how superhuman they were, there's a catch, and it's a serious one. Because all of that cooling runs on water, and that's where humans are genuinely dangerously weak. You cannot store water. A camel can. You can't. Every liter you sweat out has to be replaced that day, or you begin to decline. You can survive weeks without food. In this kind of heat, you may have less than 2 days without water. So the entire heat strategy of our species depended on one thing above all, knowing exactly where the water was at all times across a landscape for hundreds of kilometers from memory. That knowledge was survival, and it was passed down like an inheritance. Which waterhole holds through the dry season, which riverbed still has water if you dig into it, which plants hold moisture in their roots. And when there was no water on the root, they carried it. In the Kalahari, people used ostrich eggshells as canteens, drilled with a small hole, sealed with grass, and buried at known points along a route so that months later they could walk out into empty desert and dig up a drink exactly where they left it. Fragments of ostrich eggshell containers have been found that are tens of thousands of years old. That is not survival by luck. That is a distributed water network, held entirely in human memory. And the rest of the answer is the part that sounds almost too simple. They rested. Every hot culture on Earth arrives at the same solution independently. Do the hard work early, stop in the middle of the day, sleep through the worst of it, and come alive again in the evening. The siesta isn't laziness. It's the oldest heat technology we have. They also worked with what they had, wetting skins and hanging them where a breeze could pass, building simple shade, sleeping outside on the ground rather than inside a stuffy shelter, and shifting whole camps toward the water in the worst months. So put it all together. They survived killer heat with a body evolved to shed it, a memory map of every water source in their world, and a daily rhythm built around the sun instead of against it. Not one clever trick, a whole way of living. Which brings us back to you, lying awake in a hot room, waiting for a machine on the wall to fix it. Because here's the part that stings a little. Heat tolerance is not fixed. It's trainable. Spend 10 to 14 days working in the heat and your body genuinely adapts. You start sweating sooner, you sweat more efficiently, and you lose less salt doing it. Your ancestors were fully acclimatized permanently every day of their lives. Most of us now move between an air-conditioned home, an air-conditioned car, and an air-conditioned building, and never spend long enough in real heat to adapt to any of it. We built a machine that solved the problem so completely that we quietly gave up the ability our species spent 2 million years perfecting. So the next time a heat wave arrives and the room won't cool down, and you lie there feeling like your body has failed you, understand what's actually happening. Your body hasn't failed. It's the same body that used to run antelope to death under a midday sun. It has just never once been asked. You are a heat animal living in a cold box, and you have forgotten what you are. The heat never beat them. The heat is what made them. And it's still the reason you sweat, still the reason you stand upright, and still the reason you're the only creature on this planet stupid enough and strong enough to walk out into the sun at noon and keep going.